Inspired by another thread, I decided that I would share with you my compatriots. Some of them are darker dreams. Now I have often have your average silly nonsense dreams, but occasionally I have nightmares that, well, it's hard to explain. They say that it's time that your dream is equal to the time you sleep, but these dreams feel as if they last for days, weeks, months, years. I even sleep in and dream in these dreams, creating a fervor level to madness. Just the other night, I had a very vivid dream that left me a bit shaken, and I will attempt to share with you. The underpinning of this dream is that the dream I had separate set of memories. I knew the people there. I could draw former experiences years back, and not in the sense of you normal dream. No, this was as if I had lived for my 20 years here, and everything around me, not only common knowledge to me, but filled with layers and layers of history that sprung to life before I even met them. The first stark of point of the dream is coming up upon a simple brick building a few stories height, a complex of shorts that made a style that would be a bit familiar to those who have traveled through a town that did most of its growing during the late 1980s and early 90s. I enter the building. I belong here, not home, but close to it. At the moment, I cannot recall why I belong here, but upon entering, I recall that this college, I converse with other students, I go to classes, I do the things that a student does. I return my home, same as my real home, sometime in the night, and when I sleep in that and dream of that same place, I dreamed of it covering and seething, creeping gunk. I dream of those people mangled, but still moving, alight as if it could be appropriate. I awake and I return to the building, but the schedule is different now. I am in different rooms, and even the dream, I realize this was odd. Halfway through my day, I am accosted by a young woman who instantly stuns me more than beautiful than anyone's that I had ever seen. Angelic, soft, caring, just seeing her profile across the hall just as she approaches me and leaves me calm, happy, and binging. But she's just a few years older than me, and I know her name is Gigi. And she smiles at me as she takes my hand and leads me down the hallway less crowded. She asks on how my day was. How was I feeling? I am struck with so dumb that I forget how I know her. I cannot place her. I assume that she's just another student. I goofily responded in bland answers that I'm fine and I'm doing fine. Today is all right, just like the other days before it. There's nothing wrong. When I give these answers, however, her face contorts. I could suddenly feel her piercing me, and I become afraid. But her face is still soft and gentle, and her kind looks returns as if it was faded, and she gives me a nod and sends me on my way. I finish my classes, but as soon as I leave the building, I realize that I cannot remember a single thing that supposedly was taught. Not a single lecture, not a note, not a page. I shake this off as being lazy and forgetful, but it risks me to my up to now colorful memory being hazed. Again I dream in that place, in that muck, and now I not only dream of it, but I dreamed of it myself in it. I walk amongst the freakish throbbing that can only be described as pulsating moons. But I see my friends and teachers crawling amongst the filth, their bodies morphed and contorted, and I learned to softly touch one of their mounds, and it was purple, such a strong soothing color, and I think I could see her through it. What is she doing here? Touch and the filth instantly latches to me. It crawls along my skin, under my skin, in my blood and bones. I can feel it pierce through my soul, and for a brief moment I am stricken by such pain and fear that I could remembering it shakes me to the core when I awake. Now, when I turn to the building, I cannot shake these feelings anymore. Even if as I drive near, I can still feel something I miss. I look at my hand, and it's covered in thick purple gunk. I shake it furiously and swerve it off to the road, but with a second glance, it's gone. Other cars stopped along the road to help me as I assume I was halfway in the ditch. But things that came out of cars, I cannot face them. Their empty faces, the way they move quick, in jitted steps, like if they were being tugged along on strings. I slam on the gas and I hit one of the poor creatures as I go. But when I get to the school, everything looks normal. Everything was fine. Perhaps I was daydreaming? New classes again. This time I didn't even notice. I do notice, however, that my friends and my other students are acting more aggressive. They taunt me and tease me. I don't recall being quite this relieved, but I take it as a midday, and she accompanies me around again, sweet, merciful Gigi. She asks me about my day, and now I can't lie. I only tell her simple things, but more just brushing it off. I tell her that I've been having odd nightmares, and that I'm not quite feeling myself lately. She nods knowingly and smiles sweetly at me, patting my cheeks as she does. That's okay. I think you're just doing fine. Keep your chin up. The next time I dream, it is not so vile. Not so vile, in fact. I am back in the building, but it's normal. No sign of whatever gunk it was, none of the beasts, nothing at all. It is empty. The next day I wake up calmer and happier. When I return to school, however, I am again greeted with scorn and revulsion. Even alone in the courtyard between classes, I can hear them in my head, picking away at me. I know they're talking about me. I know the horrible things they say about me. How dare they? They don't know me. They are filth. What sort of people get joy about taunting others? I approach one of them, a man. What's his name? I don't know his name, but I know his face, his smug face. I still cannot recall his name as his fingers were wriggling through his body and eye sockets, and his jaw breaks beneath my grip and his skull collapses. I cannot remember his name, but I am sure that he will remember mine. What did I do? I couldn't have done that. No, it's not possible. No one around me seems to notice. No one accosts me or shrieks in terror. Was I daydreaming again? It felt so real, and I could see his corpse. I could see it writhing on the floor, and his head split with mushing contents to the ground. But no one else can. They step through me, and they step through him and over him, and it gets worse. I tried to shamble away, feeling weak and sick, but who do I bump into? Sweet, angelic, loving Gigi. I could feel clean again as she pats my shoulder and gives me a wink. Buck up, champ. I turn around, and the body was gone. No, not gone, standing, talking, or wounds. A daydream. Just a daydream. More classes, more people staring. Are they talking to me? I'm unsure how now. I'm confused. I stare at my books, and they write, and the words gargle together and spit out profanities at me. I tear the pages out. I scream and wrench the book apart, but no one seems to mind. I storm out of class and go to the door and pushed it open. I am now standing in the courtyard, but I cannot get out. Not physical or mental obstruction. There's just simply nothing else. Then I took out a lawn and an infinite expanse. Not a lot of trees or gravel or stars, just empty. Where am I? I must have fallen asleep. This doesn't bother me now. I accept it. I return to the inside. I find an empty classroom and I lay on the floor. I do not dream this time. I have a quiet, contented sleep when I awake. The classroom's full of people, and I'm lying across now what appears to be a professor's podium. I get up and I leave. The room looks so different, but I'm not in the mood to care. Back in the hall through, they do notice me. They point and laugh, and I don't understand why. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with me. Anger wells at me again, filth in all of them, scum, wastes of flesh. How dare they? That is what I'm thinking as an arm snaps in my grip. It is what I'm thinking when I hear a woman squeal as I dig into her neck with my nails. It is what I'm thinking when my teeth tears a chunk out of someone's side. I blink and I will wake myself up to want to know. I flutter my eyes. I try to flail my real arms, but there is no walking. I stand over these bodies, the warmth dripping on my own chin, and I will not wake. Now they notice me and they stare in horror. They pull me back against the walls. They shriek in ungodly voices that make my mind quake in my skull. I run. There are no more classrooms. No students. No professors. These people were just dressed strangely. White clothes, drab. Who are these people? Two of them large men. They approach me. They are talking. I know the voices. Calm down, buddy. It's all right. No need to get worked up. Come on, let's get you back home. Back home? I lie down in the hall and it seems to be getting longer. They led me to a bathroom. Why a bathroom? There's a line of them in this hall, both sides, small self-contained bathrooms. They tossed me in there and I staggered over to the toilet and lurched up my lunch, along with a few entrails that I picked up from somewhere. No, those are not real. They're just hallucinations. All of this was just really food and stomach fluid. I repeat to myself many times before, as I lay down on the cold floor and sleep. Where was Gigi? The dreams now come gentle, soft, and dreams I have sweet Gigi. She reassures me that everything will be fine, and I believed her. When I wake back up in the bathroom, by God, I believe her. I stumble onto the door. I accidentally bang my forehead across the wood. No metal. The metal door, I'm not hurt. I wrapped my palm against it, and I do not try to open it myself until many minutes, hours later, but it opens for me when I tug and stumble onto the hall. Everyone is back. They do not look at me. They do not recognize me. I feel so sick. I know where I have to go, to another class. I slump into the seat and bang my forehead against the table. I am not bothered by the others. Even when I splurge my stomach contents, I am not bothered. It seeps back in the desk and floor. It's black, purple, and pulsating, sickening goo. Did that come from me? It stretches itself and then begins moving manically with a sharp, quick bursts, followed by slow crawls, and it begins attaching people. They notice this. One of the ones who are affected, but no one around them does. They squirm and scream. They even yell for help. They even look at me and scream for help. They reach their hands out to me as pulsating mass engulfs them and burns them away, turns them into whatever it is. I stand and stumble, fall down the stairs outside the classroom and strike my forehead against the railing. I scream as loud as I could. I think I'm babbling. I must have a concussion. The people are here again, and so is Gigi. The men picked me up and led me to the top of the floor of the building into the office. I am pulled and sat down on a very stiff chair. Gigi sits across from me behind the desk. An administrator? She seems very young for that. She is only a few years older than me. She frowns at me softly. I had really hoped you have gotten past this, she says in a calm, soothing voice. Again, I could feel her clench whatever ills I just had performed. I don't know what to say. It's getting more frequent. This is me talking now, but I'm not sure what I'm talking about. The words came out instinctively, but without recognition on my part. She nods. She understands. Of course she understands. She would kind of soft carrying Gigi. She just stands and then walks forward to me very slowly. Her hand is on my shoulder. It felt so warm. Suddenly, I'm reminded that I feel cold. Very cold, but her hand is warm. And that's all I need. You were doing very well. I want you to know that I think there's still work left to do. But we are getting somewhere. I hope you feel the same. Though I'm at peace listening to her, I do find my eye drawn on something in the corner of the room. Pulsating thick, disgusting filth even here? How could I be so close to pure innocent Gigi? I stammer. My breath is caught in my throat and it's coming closer. I didn't want it to touch me. I did not know what it is, but I do not want it to touch me. I know if it does, something terrible will happen. Gigi was finished circling behind me. What was she saying? She kneels slightly in front of me. So we are eye to eye. I know your time here have been very hard. We understand. We really do. The pain you are going through, but you have to help us. You have to work with us. This isn't one-side ordeal. I simultaneously do and do not understand what she's saying. My mind knows, but it is hiding from me. The thing is creeping closer. What does it want? Not here, not her. It could never have her. She was dressed in white too. Not a student, not a professor, but what was she? I know at the tip of my tongue. I know, doctor, I know. I've been really trying, but it's getting really blurry. The dreams, they are very vivid, doctor. Sometimes I fear that the violent is me, is the real, and that I'm slowly fading away. I must admit, doc, I'm not quite getting a feeling right now. That is me speaking, but not my own voltation. That is not even my real voice. I don't talk like that. What is going on? Sweet Gigi, a doctor? But she's only a few years older than me, and I'm a college student. This isn't making any sense. I try and put it together, but the filth, it's getting closer and closer. The nearer it gets, the further my concentration breaks. Oh God, dear God, not her. It is touching her. Not dear Gigi. She isn't reacting. How could she even know? It's crawling on her, creeping around her, consuming her, infesting her. Please God, not gentle, kind, loving Gigi. She takes my chin in her hands and smiles. But know the thing that's got to her. It wraps around her face, and I see it. I see the blank, soulless, pulsating figure of a skull where the beautiful face was. And the voice I can hear now. The voice that had been creeping at the very back of my brain. Do not struggle. We are here to help. You are very, very sick. We will cure you. Wow. I gotta really say, this one was a pretty damn well-made story. That was The Creeping Mange, a creepypasta. I honestly thought this story was a pretty good story. I do remember Fear itself read this story about a few years ago, as well as Mr. Creepypasta. I definitely gotta say, I like the fact that this story was written for a few other people, but I can definitely say right now that this story was definitely a pretty good concept. I mean, the fact that this person's like hallucinating what's going on, saying, they're in college and they're dreaming, but they're hallucinating certain things or something. I mean, it does have an interesting concept. But I definitely think that, the protagonist in this story is probably a mentally unstable person that has hallucinations, schizophrenia or something. I'm not really too sure, to be honest, because it doesn't really explain about why this person's, hallucinating and dreaming. But the concept of it actually seems pretty well made, especially with the whole concept of it of its own self. I honestly do find this story to be a pretty good one. Now, I didn't think that this one was bad or anything. I thought it was a pretty neat story for what this is, especially with the whole fact that this story is based on someone who's, seeing things. It does really add up a little bit to what this person could have, be having, like maybe schizophrenia, or maybe he's just hallucinating stuff. It's hard to say because I don't really know much about what's been going on or anything, but I think that maybe that's just what I'm seeing. But it actually has a really good concept for however it is. So I definitely gotta say, it actually is a pretty well story for what this story is. So I definitely gotta say, it's a pretty good concept. I do think the story actually provides a pretty good, detail, and it kind of gives it a little bit more of a feeling of, why the protagonist is like sitting there and, seeing all this stuff. So I definitely gotta say, it actually is a pretty well made story. So I definitely gotta say, the story is really well made. It's got a really good concept. I actually really thought this story was pretty well made. So, with that being said, I really personally thought this one was a pretty amazing concept of this story. And I actually really still find this story to be, pretty good. So, I guess with that being the case and that being said, I definitely do think that the story actually was really well made for how the concept of it of its own self went out. I mean, I do personally thought this story was really neat, and I do really have to say that I like this story. Now, I can't seem to find out who the original author of this story is, so I'm going to leave it as anonymous for now. If I ever do find out who the original author is, I'll be sure to give the author proper credit. But like I always going to say, it's a really well-made story. It's definitely a pretty good one, and I recommend you guys check out this story if you haven't. It's on the regular Creepypasta Wiki. So, definitely got to really say it's a really well-made story. It's a pretty good one. I definitely got to say it's really, really awesome. There's definitely a lot of concept on this story. It honestly was pretty good for what it is. I really do think that this story actually has there's a lot of time and effort into this story. And I got to really say right now, the grammar of this story is really good. It's a really good concept, and I really do appreciate the good grammar of this story. So I definitely got to say, it's flat out amazing. So I guess with that being the case and that being said, this is just simply my own personal opinion. Now, before I did go on to, my final rating, the only thing I would have to say would be a bit of a downer is we don't really know if this person who is hallucinating is mentally unstable. Is he schizophrenic? Why is he having these hallucinations? Could he be in a coma and having those? It honestly, I would have liked it if the story did explain what actually is going on for the protagonist's head, because that way it would actually be a lot more believable, but it would actually help out a lot more with the story, if it makes any sense. But, like I'm always going to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. I'm going to give this story a 9.5 out of 10. While it's a really great concept, and I do like the fact that, the grammar's good and all that, if it goes into detail about why the protagonist is actually having, these hallucinations, like is he schizophrenic or she, is the person in a coma or something, whatever the possibility may be of why this protagonist is hallucinating, only the author can maybe explain that in the comments below if he or she were to see it. So I definitely got to say right now, this is actually a really good story. But minus the part that it doesn't really explain why the protagonist is having these hallucinations, but it actually is still a pretty well-made story, especially for what it is. So anyways, I guess with that being said, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to this channel, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload. So that way you guys will not miss an upload. If you want to know what new videos I upload, then yeah. Anyways, I'll be seeing you all in the next upload. Peace out. And like always, please roll the outro because I'm out.